Our learning goals are to learn that the equation of a line has the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope or the rate of change, and b is the y-intercept, so where it hits the y-axis, also called the initial value. Okay? So for each linear relationship, determine the slope m, the y-intercept b, and the equation. That's all we're going to do today, this morning. All right, so we get really confident at it. So, we'll find the slope first. So I'll do a little title, M for slope. How do I go about finding the slope from if I'm given a graph? Yep.
M equals rise over run.
Yep. Awesome. M equals rise over run. And I have to keep in mind that a positive slope rises to the right and a negative slope falls to the right. So this is a positive slope, and I have to make a rate triangle. So I'm looking for corners. So here's a corner, and here's a corner. And then you go horizontal and vertical to make your rate triangle. Everybody good? Then I have to figure out my rise and run on the graph. So my rise is positive. And the scale is just by 1, so my rise is 3. And my runs are always positive. And the scale is only 1, so my run is 1. So my slope is 3 over 1. But remember, this is a divided by sign. So 3 divided by 1 is just 3. So I don't need the over 1. I can just write the slope as 3. So I'm going to put a box around that. We've now found the slope. Now we're going to find the initial value, b, or the y-intercept. So we're going to go along our y-axis, our vertical axis. And we're going to see, where does our line touch it? Where does our line touch the vertical axis? You see that it's at -1? Okay, so our initial value is -1. Now we need our equation. So it's always going to have this format. We might have to change things, but in this case, it is the y-axis, so y stays. Slope is a number, the number 3 in this case. It is the x-axis, so x stays. Do I write -1, or do I just write -1? What do you think?
I think you would put a plus and put -1 in brackets.
Okay. And then I simplify that to -1, so I don't have double signs. So this would be my objective would be to go for y equals 3x minus 1. Now, my objective at the end of the week or at the end of the course is that when you see this, you know it's a line. You know the slope of the line is 3, and you know the y-intercept is -1. So you'd be able to go and draw a line. Okay, that's coming. That's how I want you to look at that equation. Starts at -1 on the y-axis, and it has a slope of 3. Okay? All right, so on to the next one. Same 3 things. We're going to find the slope, the y-intercept, and the equation. So, do you guys agree it's a negative slope? So my rise is going to be negative. So if I was writing this out, I'd be like m equals rise over run, but I want to remember that my rise is negative, so I put the negative sign there. And now I'm going to make my triangle, so I know that's on my triangle, or it's on a corner. I know this is on a corner, and remember, everyone can have different rate triangles as long as you use the scale and the counting properly, okay? You have to just pick 2 points that are on corners. So for me, my rise is -1, 2, 3, because the scale is by 1s, which is nice. And my run is also 3. So -1 over 1 is my, -3 over 3 is my rise over my run. And then if you take your calculator out, -3 divided by 3 is -1. B. So now I look for where does my line touch the y-axis. You should be able to see it's at 6. Everyone agree? You see it's at 6, it touches the y-axis at 6, the line. And then you want to make the equation. So it is y and x. The slope number is -1. You still need the x. And then plus 6 because b is positive. And again, if we looked at the equation of this line, we'd say, okay, it starts at 6 on the y-axis and it has a slope of -1. Okay? That's what it's telling you. All right, the next one. So we start off finding slope. Do you see it's negative sloping? So I'm going to remind myself of that right away. I have to pick 2 points. So that's a corner, and that's a corner. And I look at, you can see my scale is 1's this way and 1's this way by where the 5 is with the 0, okay? So my rise is -2, and my run is +3. So if you try to work that out as a decimal, you're just going to get an approximate answer. So we're going to keep it as a fraction in lowest terms. If it worked out like to 0.5 or something, I wouldn't care, but I don't want you to round. So just keep it as a fraction if it's a repeating decimal or one where you have to round. All right, now we want our y-intercept. So we look on our y-axis and see where does the line cross through the y-axis at. B equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. And then you make your equation. So y equals, and I'm going to put -2/3 in. Yep.
If you wanted, could you make that 2/3 into like the decimal, like 0.667?
No, because that's still rounding.
Oh.
Okay. Plus 6. If it was a money question, Asha, you could, because it means something. But if it's just a straight up y and x graph, leave it as a fraction if it's a repeating decimal or a decimal that's not perfect. Okay? Or you have it around. All right. Anyone have any ideas for D? Move it up a bit so we can focus in on it. So it doesn't give us the grid marks, but it tells us the coordinates of 2 points. You get the slope, the y-intercept, and the equation. Carter.
It was so confusing, -3 minus 0, but the run and then negative 15 minus 10.
Yes. So if it gives you 2 points, you could call them x1 and y1. You agree? And x2 and y2. Because that's another way to find slope. Perfect. So then I need to know the slope formula, which is m equals y2 minus y1, which means the second y value, subtract the first y value, over the second x value minus the first x value. So y2 is negative 10 minus negative 16 over 0, the minus in the formula, negative 3. So you're going to use a calculator. Negative 10 minus negative 16 is 6. Should this end up being positive or negative sloping if you do the calculation right, guys? Positive, good. 0 subtract negative 3 ends up giving you positive 3. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. I want to show you something. So if I put these points into a table, okay, if I put these points into a table, negative 3 goes with a y value of negative 16, and then 0 is bigger than negative 3, so I would put it below the negative 3, and negative 10. And then if we do differences here, to get from negative 16 to negative 10, we go up 6. And to get from negative 3 to 0, we go up 3. So if we use rise over run from a table, we still got 6 over 3, which is 2. Okay? So I could put my points they give me into a table if I want to, and use differences if I like that way better. Some people like tables better than the formula. Okay, so but you just have to remember that the first point is always an x. Or sorry, the first value in the parentheses is an x, and the second value in the parentheses is a y. Okay, so that's all about the slope. What about the y-intercept? Yes?
The b coordinate is already added.
Oh, we're lucky. They gave us an easy one because the coordinate they gave me for b is right on the y-axis. So 0 for x, but negative 10 for y, so that means b is negative 10. Okay? So that point 0, so you don't go left or right, but you go down 10, is the y-intercept. So this point right here is where the line touches the y-axis. Okay? Negative 10 is where it touches. And then our equation. It is just y and x again. Our slope is 2, positive makes sense, x, and then because our initial value is negative 10, it would be minus 10, not plus 10. Make our equation. Okay, so we've kind of done a lot of ones where you're given the graph and you have to come up with the equation. Now we're going to do where you're given the table and you have to come up with the equation. Okay, so for a table, the easy thing to find is the slope. Okay, so we just find the differences. So from 3 to 1 is down to, but say I didn't know that, how can I use my calculator to tell me what the difference is? Say they were like really weird numbers. Yep.
And you subtract the one, like, above it.
Right, lower from higher. So you do 1 minus 3, negative 2. Okay? So if they were crazy numbers that you couldn't do in your head, you can always subtract lower from upper. So negative 1 minus 1 is also negative 2. So to get from negative 5 up to 0, you would go up 5. From 0 to 5, you would go up 5. And to go from 5 to 10, you would go up 5. Everybody good there? All right, so then to find m, I think we use blue for m. This is our rise, because it's the change in the y's, and this is our run. So negative 2 over 5. That is a nice decimal, so you could put it as a decimal. I'm going to leave it as a fraction, but it's your choice for that one, because it works out to a nice round decimal. The y-intercept. Yeah.
Since there's already one of the zeros in the x column, we just put 1.
Very good, Lasha. Okay, so if you're thinking about this as a grid, this point here says that when x is 0, y is 1. Does everyone see if that's what that point says? So when x is 0, y is 1, that means that that's where the line goes through the y-axis. So our initial value is, or b value is 1. Okay? When x is 0, y is 1. So that's our initial value. Guess I should do it in green to be consistent here. Okay, so that's my b value. It's right in the chart. We were lucky with that one. Okay? And then we need our equation. So it's y and x again. M is negative 2 over 5 or negative 0.4. Okay, other one's fine. X, don't forget x, plus 1, because b is positive. Okay, try f. See if you run into any. Okay, so 5 to 9 is up 4, 9 to 13 is up 4, 13 to 17 is up 4. The change in y is our rise, the change in x is our run. So to find this slope, I'm going to do rise over run, which is 4 over 2, which is 2. All right, someone tell me, yes, how did you get B, Reese?
Okay, so I basically just, if you know that it's going up by 2 each time, just take the last one that you had,
Yes,
and you subtract.
so you're working backwards?
Yeah, subtract it.
So you realize that every time you go up 2 on this side, you go up 4 on this side. So if you go backwards 2 on this side to get to 0, does everyone see that? How much would you go backwards on that side? 4. Does that make sense to everybody? What is 5 minus 4? 1. So this is telling you that when x is 0, y is 1. Now, a double check, Reese, would be to make sure that going forwards, to get from 0 to 2, you go up 2, and to get from 1 to 5, you go up 4, so that you keep that consistent pattern. Is everybody okay with that way of getting B?
So we cross that one.
So B, yeah, crosses at 1. Very good. B is 1. Crosses at 1. So if you were drawing a picture here, when x is 0, y is 1, so that's 1 there. When x is 2, y is 5. So here's 2, and then 5 is up here. Okay, and it's going like that. You see that? Okay, very good. All right, so now we want our equation. So our y is y, our slope is 2, x is x, and our vertical intercept, our initial value is positive 1, so plus 1. Okay, let's try the next one. Try G. Give you some time. Great with this. 25. 25. Hands up if you got m equals 5. Yes. Okay. Tell me how you got the initial value b. Amelia.
After 5, and then subtract,
Yep.
and then 150 subtract 25.
And what did you get when you did 150 minus 25?
1.
Very good. How many people got 125 for their b? Very good. So your equation would be someone want to tell me their equation? Amelia?
Y equals 5x plus 1.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, so we've done getting the equation from a graph, getting the equation from a table. Now we're doing getting the equation given 2 points. Put a little star beside this one. It's a bit trickier. What do we know we can get if we're given 2 points? Yep.
The rate of change.
The rate of change or the slope. So I can use the slope formula to get the slope. Is everybody good with that? So that means I have to know that this is the point 1, so x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. So I'm going to find my slope first, using the slope formula. So y2 for me is 19. There's a minus in the formula, and y1 is 4. x2 is 2. There's a minus in the formula, and x1 is negative 3. So then I get my calculator out, or my brain out, and subtract there. Yep, you may. 15 over 5, and we get n equal to 3. E is not so easy though. Anyone have any ideas? Yep.
So what I did, this sort of made sense to me, is so I saw that like the rise and the rise was 15 and the run was 5.
Yep.
So then I divided the 15 into 5 parts, which gave me 3, and then I saw that the first y coordinate was minus 3, and no, it needs to be 0, so then I multiplied that 3 by 3 to get 9. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, let me see if I'm following you. So you saw this was in here, and we'll say this was in here. And you said you want to get to 0, right? And you know that the slope is 3. Is everyone good with that? The slope is 3 over 1, which is rise over run. Okay? So this is my run side. This is my rise side. Are we good with that? So to get to 0, I can't go in one chunk, because what's my run here? My run's 1. So I can go to -2, I can go up 1, meaning I have to go up 3 on this side and get me to 7. Agreed? I can go up 1 again, and I can go up 3 again. I can go up 1 again, which finally puts me at 0, and go up 3 again. So I should get a B of 13. Okay? But that's not how I would do it. That's a good check. This is a good check. Okay? But this is how I would do it, and this is how I want you to do it. Okay? I want you to know in your heart that the equation of any line is got this format, y equals mx plus b. Okay? We know m, we just found it out. So now we know the equation of our line is this. We also know that this point, either point, we can use either point. This one's got both positives, but this point means that on our line, when x is 2, y is way up here at 19. So if my line has a positive slope, I know that when x is 2, y is 19. Everyone agree with that? That means that that point, 2, 19, has to make the sides of the equation balance. So when I put 19 in for y and 2 in for x, the only thing I won't know is b, and I can figure out what b has to be to make it work. And it should turn out to be 13. We already have our check. So if I replace y with 19, keep 3, replace x with 2 using brackets, then b is the only variable I have left in my equation. So I'm using algebra. That's why we spent so much time learning algebra in the first week and a half of the course, solving equations. I'm using algebraic thinking to get to the answer here. So if I want to get b by itself, what would I do to both sides? Subtract 6. And that does in fact give me b equal to 13. So now I know m and I know b, so I'm ready to write my equation. So all I need to do is replace m with 3, keep my x, and b with positive 13. Okay, we're going to do a lot more like this, so if you feel like you haven't caught it yet, then don't worry, do more. So another one exactly the same, line passing through those 2 points. So I'll give you some time. And then we're going to check on decimals to make sure that it's true. We'll do our check. Okay, so m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. -1 minus 7 over 4 subtract -2. I would prefer fractions in lowest terms. If you would do that, that would be lovely. Okay, so now is where we're finding b. So we start off with our equation, and we choose one of our 2 points. Yep. When we're done taking this one out, okay? This is as kind of hard as it gets, okay? So if you know how to do this one, you get. So 4, -1, that's my x and that's my y. So if I put -1 in for y, -4/3 in for m, 4 in for x, b is my only unknown. Okay? Doesn't matter what point you chose. So now I need to know how to multiply a fraction by a whole number, top by top, bottom by bottom. So it's going to give me -16/3 plus b. Now, how am I going to deal with this fraction? How do I clear it? Multiply every single term by 3. This by 3. This by 3. B by 3. And this is the one everyone forgets to multiply by 3 is the b. Okay? 3 times -1 is -3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with -16 here. Plus 3 times b is 3b. And now I want to use reverse bad math to get b by itself. Yes? Add 16. So -3 plus 16 is 13. And then I would divide both sides by 3. So I would get b is 13/3, which means my equation would be y equals m, which is -4/3, x plus my b, which is 13/3. So I'm going to take a picture of the equation. I'm going to type it into Desmos so that we can see that it goes through those 2 points, okay? And so that you know how to use Desmos to check your work. Okay. I think I've got everything you need in that picture. Okay. Nope, and tape. Okay. All right, so I'm going to Desmos. So any of you guys can do this. You can go to Desmos, type in Desmos. If you haven't seen it before, go to the graphing calculator, and then it'll offer you this little keyboard to type in this square here. So I'm going to type in the equation y equals -4 over is divided by 3. But then I want to use the arrow to put x out in front of it. X, which is here, plus 13/3. So there's my line. Now what points did we think were on it? -2 and 7. So -2 and 7 is right there. I think you can actually put a table on. But I don't remember how. So -2, 7. And we can see when I grab this and push it down, there we go. So -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is right there. And the other one is 4 and -1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and -1. So you can see that it's a line that goes through those 2 points. Okay? So if you want to check your work, Desmos is really good for that, and it's on your phone. You can just Google it. You can put it as an app on your phone as well. Okay. So if we go back to our work, so now we know we're right, which is great. All right. This one's easier, so try it on your own. Now I'll just pause it again. Excellent, I'm gonna catch up to you here. Yes, no, over 3. So you end up getting negative 10. So 10 minus 40 over 5 minus 2. So I got my slope to be negative 10. Now I want to find my b. So I use the equation where I know n is negative 10. And I have my choice of 2 points to use. Okay, I can either use 240 or 510. They'll both give me the same answer. How many people use 240? How many people use 510? Okay, I'll do 240 since more of you use 510 just to show you that they both work. Okay, so there's my x and there's my y. 40 equals negative 10 times 2 plus b. So then, because you can multiply the negative 10 and the 2, you do that. And then you've got a really one-step equation left to solve. If you want to get b by itself, you're going to add 20 to both sides. And get b to be 60. So now you know m and b. The people that did it using the other pair of points, how many people got 60? Yes. Okay? So it doesn't matter which point you use because they both lie on the same line. Okay? They both satisfy it. They both lie on the line that has the same m and the same b. So now you want your equation. Y equals m, so negative 10 times x plus 60. Did anyone go and check that on decimals to see if it passed through 240 and 510? You want to check? Sure? Negative 10x plus 60. Okay. So y equals negative 10x plus 60. And we will, what points are we looking for? 240. So we need to make it up a little bit here. So there's, this is 5, so 40, there's 240 and 510. 510 is right there. And it's negative sloping, fairly steep. What was our intercept? 60. We got it. Okay, next one is a different one too. Okay, so this is the last one we're going to do before break. So the line has a slope of 2/3. They're just giving me stuff. That's nice of them. So now I know already m. M is 2/3. Great, good. And it goes through this point. So do I know how to get b if I know the slope and I know a point? Yes, that's what we just did. Okay? Only we don't get a choice of which point to use this time. We have to use the one that they give us. Okay, so we're going to put negative 4 in for y. M is 2/3. X is 9. Oh, that works out nicely for us. They're really nice to us. So when I multiply 2/3 by 9, I'm going to get 18 over 3. But what's special about 18 over 3? Does 3 go evenly into 18? Yes, right? So 18 divided by 3 is actually 6. Which is lovely, right? Because now all I have to do is subtract 6 on both sides. And I get the b value to be negative 10. Now I know m and I know b, so I can get the equation. Y equals m, so 2/3, x, don't forget x, plus b, so minus 10, because b is negative 10. Got 3 more minutes? Well, that one was easy, we were on it. Next one, it also gives us the slope and a point. So we should be able to do this in the exact same way. They give us the slope, very nice of them. Slope is negative 2. We have to calculate the b, but they give us a point. So I can use that point to be my x and my y in the equation. So I have to use 5 for y, negative 2 for m, brackets, negative 3 for x, and then b is the only thing I don't know. So then I do this multiplication, negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6, good. I get b by itself, subtract 6, b is negative 1. So now I know m and I know b, so I can get my equation. Don't forget x when you're writing the equation. You get so excited about m and b that you forget about x. It happens. Awesome. Okay, we're almost done, guys. I will pause here. So a line with a slope, okay, again, they give me the slope. So I know that right away, going through this point. So I want to find b. So I'm going to write the equation out that I know has to work for a line. I'm going to make x4 and y1, okay? So y is going to be 1, m is a half, x is 4, plus b. Yep.
Can we change that half to that's more?
You can, because it's a perfect one, okay? So here we would go, half times 4 is 4 over 2. But again, 2 goes into 4, so you can do 4 divided by 2 is 2, instead of having a fraction. And then to get b by itself, you would subtract 2 on both sides. And you get b is negative 1. So now we know m, and we know b. So we can find the equation. So our m is a half, 4.5, as John said, and our b is negative 1. So y equals a half x minus 1 would be our equation. And our last question, a bit different. This time it gives me the y-intercept So I don't know the M. I know the B is 3, and I know a point. Any ideas for this? Yeah.
Do the same thing that you did with you before, except this time the missing variable is M.
Perfect. Do the same thing we did before, but this time we know B, but we don't know M. So we're going to still label this point X and Y. Put 2 in for Y. Leave M because we don't know it. Put 4 in for X. And then plus 3 because we know B is 3. Very good. That's exactly what you would do. So when I go to find M, what's M times 4? 4M. So now I have a 2-step equation from unit 1. And I want to get M by itself. So what would be the first thing I would do to both sides, Logan? Minus 3. Good. So you undo adding or subtracting before multiplying. So that's going to give you negative 1 equals 4M. Yep. Divide by 4. And I can leave it, since I know it's a slope, you can leave it in rise over run form. Negative 1 over 4 is our rise over run form. Or if you want, you can change it to a decimal because this one's a perfect decimal. Your choice, but if it's a repeating decimal, I want you to leave it as a fraction. Okay, and not round. No rounding. Okay? Okay, so then we need our equation. So we just found out our slope was negative 1/4 times x plus our y-intercept, our initial value, which is 3. So we just did kind of every type of info they could give you, went through and figured out how to get the equation based on that information. So we did graphs, tables, 2 points, the slope and a point, the y-intercept and a point. Okay? So we got Evan to hand you out the practice. And let's hope this video works.